I'll talk about the gigs we had at Cedars Inn in McMinnville. They all kind of blend together because we played there so often between '85 and '87. So I don't have a whole lot of memories of a specific gig, but I do remember just playing there a lot. So we would play usually 4 nights, like Wednesday through Saturday, and they were like 4-hour gigs from 9 to 2 o'clock. So we were playing a lot. And I remember we had a good crowd. People just would come to see us, be, packing the place. Obviously, the more we played, the better we got, the better response we had. And I can remember one of the things I remember is I got a wireless guitar, so I could walk around the stage. And at Cedars, they had this little like thing around the stage, like a platform. So during one of the songs, I would take this big guitar solo, and I remember standing up and walking around on them and kind of walking around the crowd, walking through the crowd, and that was just kind of like a rock and roll moment for me of being like the guitar god sort of thing, even though I was nowhere near the best guitar player in the world. But it was a lot of fun just being in the crowd and having people just go wild with making big guitar noise.
And we had started when I was in high school, and then when we went to college, we started getting a little bit bigger. We played some, had some paying gigs and so forth. And then fall of my sophomore year, I went to Paris for 6 months. And when I did that, the band actually started getting some paying gigs at a local nightclub, I guess, bar. Anyway, bar with live music. And so when I came back, I was excited to have a paying gig and play in a bar. It was kind of a progression for us as a band. And I remember my first night there, I was actually underage. And so they had like a special seat that they wanted me to sit in during breaks and so forth. And so during the first break, maybe it was the second break, there was this gal that came up to me, and this gal was all over me, kissing and touching, and hands and tongue and my ear, whatever, and just like all over me. And I'm thinking, rock and roll, this is great. This could be like this is every night. This is fantastic. And I'm sure by the end of the night she passed out or found somebody else and moved on. But I'm thinking, man, this is going to be like this every night. This is great rock and roll. And only time that ever happened in my entire career of playing was any.
And we got together and started practicing, and it kind of blossomed and became a really cool deal for our last several years in college there. Started playing around town at some of the clubs, and we just expanded for about 3-4 years and became kind of an icon in that Yamhill County area, and as well as downtown Portland. So it was a growing effort where we moved some different band players in there, and eventually, my sister became our lead singer. And
Bob told me that they kind of had a situation with his band at college that they were kind of interested in maybe having me come and sing. I kind of jumped in with both feet and just started singing with my full voice and trying to find my rock and roll voice and working on getting my range. So I cut my chops on learning how to work the crowd, because we had a pretty good crowd. The gigs that we did were pretty consistent. And so it really gave me a chance to learn how to work the crowd and have a good rapport with the crowd.
This band come out to Cedars to play on Monday through Wednesday to try out and see what's going on with them and stuff. So I brought them in, and they were okay, and I said, well, I work on it and stuff and see what you can do and let me know. And then about 2 weeks later, I got a call, I think, from Bob or Randy saying, we got something different. We got a girl with us now and this type of stuff. And so they came in, and I went, and they were like 150 times better than they were when they came the first time. They came into Cedars, they did their thing, and by the time they were done at Cedars, and that's that they broke records for the most amount of money for being there, on the weekend or something. I think it came up like $2,500 or something, and it was a tiny bar in the 80s. So and that's quite good money. So they opened for Dan Reed Network and did a fantastic job, and Dan Reed really liked them and talked with them for a while. Then later on that night, they played inside at Cedars, and it was really, really crowded, and then all of a sudden Dan Reed and those guys jumped up and played with them too, which made it a real interesting night. They played more than most bands in Oregon ever played, and played all the major clubs up in Portland too.
Dan said that he saw us play at Cedars. He booked us at Cedars in a week as an audition, and I think this is when Chris was in France. So we learned a bunch of 3-chord, really easy songs that we could pull off. So anyway, Dan said that he came to see us and we played, and he's like, you guys are okay, but you need to do something different. You need to, step it up a notch. I think we had a conversation. I was like, we need to do something. I said, if we could get a female vocalist or something, a keyboard player, we got to do something. And then somehow, I think you said, well, my sister sings.
Right.
So
they threw it out there, and I think I know she was already doing other stuff.
So then when you came, that's like, and then we got Pete Norman on keyboard and guitar. Yep. When we added the keyboard, we could start playing a lot of the
More current stuff.
the current 80s,
Right.
because there was lots of keyboard stuff in the 80s. And then also just the originals were elevated to a new level.
It added another vocal option that we could use.
I like it when bands share lead vocals. It brings a lot to the table when you have a couple or 2, 3 lead singers that switch off. I've gotten used to that over the years.
So the other thing I think was kind of a turning point with our style was when Rick joined us.
Yeah.
Because he brought keyboard skills, music writing capabilities, and guitar and singing. So it was kind of cool because it was like another progression in our sound and how we played.
I just remember we would have, like we've done getting ready for these shows, marathon rehearsals. Like we would never,
our style.
we'd play for like 6 hours. That was our rehearsal, was all weekend.
Well, that's what we did today too.
Yeah, I know.
That's what we've done every rehearsal, is 6 hours.
That's what we did ever since we started playing. Was our, it's never like, oh, let's rehearse for a couple hours. No, it was like, all right, we're here all afternoon. And,
Today and tomorrow.
Exactly. And then when we were playing,
Maybe that's why
especially
I don't remember you.
we played at Cedars, so that was 5 sets.
Oh, they weren't they?
We played from 9 to 2,
my
9 to
God.
10, 10 to 11, 11 to 12, 12 to 1, 1 to 2. We played till close.
We had 5 hours worth of music.
We did.
We
We repeated the last set.
The last set was either repeated of the first
First
set
set.
or a mixture of
5 hours. That's insane.
Yeah, so we had a 5-hour set, and we were at Cedars. We were usually booked from like Wednesday through Saturday.
Mhm.
So we were playing a lot. That's how we got so tight, because we were just playing 5-hour gigs, and then we'd practice 5 or 6 hours. So, and then it seems like that last summer, that last year, it seemed like we were playing every weekend, and close to every
We were.
weekend.
Playing
Playing
a lot.
a lot. So everything was. I remember after I think it might have been with Pete. I think it was with Pete when we did the first recording in Renshaw when we just wrote "Let the Buyer Beware," and we recorded it. I remember going to Cedars with Dan and saying, "Hey Dan, we just recorded this as our demo. It sounded pretty good with what we had to work with." And I remember him putting the cassette in the PA at Cedars, and people loved it. And so it's like, yeah, that was a hit that never ever was.
Never happened. We get to showcase for an hour and a half in McMinnville.
That's right.
In August. So it'll be a similar deal. We bring a lot of energy, play as tight as we can on that stuff, and impress somebody.
Could be great.
Have a good time doing it.
Good tunes for good times.
We will see you at the Yamhill County Fair, August 6th at 4:30.
In McMinnville, Oregon.
Be there or be square.
Don't miss it. You'll be sorry.